All right, that was the governor of Utah, among other officials, including the FBI director, announcing that a suspect is in custody, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson of Utah. And we've learned a lot in that news conference. And while that was on, we also received the mugshot from this morning. I want to get Tom Winter in here. He's our national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent. And there was a lot of information, including how it is that authorities became aware of this person. It sounds like someone turned him in, a member of a family. The suspect spoke to a member of family who reached out to a family friend who called the sheriff's office.
That's exactly right, Savannah, and consistent with some of the reporting we were hearing earlier this morning. And the information, according to the governor, is that this person said that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was then relayed to police. Apparently, in the course of this investigation, they were actually able to find his car in surveillance video of that. And they see him wearing one type of clothing. Then he changes into the dark clothing, the images that we've seen over the past 24 hours. The shooting happens, and then he changes back into the original set of clothing that he arrived at the university in. Well, they said that when investigators in the early hours of this morning arrived at his home, apparently he was wearing the same type of clothing that he was wearing when he arrived at the campus on the day of the shooting. On top of that, they said that there was a roommate of his who he also had been messaging, in the messages referenced the weapon specifically, referenced the fact that it was wrapped in a towel. That's something investigators have been telling us about. The fact that it was in a wooded area, and that there will also be engravings on the casings of the ammunition.
And a scope on top of the
And a scope on top of it, all consistent with the information we've been hearing for the past several days. And now the governor and investigators saying, no, in fact, it's one and the same thing.
It sounds like all but a confession to the roommate as well, although the roommate thought it was a joke, according to the investigation.
Apparently initially thought it was a joke, and now investigators think it's anything but.
Tom, let's talk a little bit more about these casings, and maybe we just try to characterize some of what the investigators claim that they have found while we try to figure out exactly what was meant by some of these casings and what was inscribed on these casings.
Sure. So top line on this is that there's a real anti-fascist sentiment that's consistent with some of the information that we learned in the press conference, that apparently recently this individual, Tyler Robinson, had been talking about the fact that they had an issue with Kirk and had become more political recently. According to the information shared at the press conference, these engravings reference a whole host of things. We're still in the process going through it, but like I said, he says in one spot, "Hey, fascist!" exclamation point, catch. In other words, to catch the bullet is what is referenced. The governor clarifying that later. There were a number of unfired casing rounds, one saying, "Oh, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao." There was another message referencing apparent reference to law enforcement. So, look, putting it all together, we're going to need to do a lot more research as far as the specific ideology here. But it's clear, and again, according from what the governor said, that Robinson apparently mentioned to a family member, a family friend, that Charlie Kirk was coming to the university. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. And a family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. Again, all of that coming from the governor and officials at this press conference.
We don't know whether it appears from our initial searches that there's not a criminal record here for this individual. Right. We don't know a lot about his background, but we've talked a lot about that single deadly shot that was taken from a distance of 200 yards, which would suggest some experience with firearms.
Certainly some experience with firearms. Nobody just buys this gun, sets up on the roof, and is able to conduct a shot along the lines of what people are told in military and law enforcement training, which is high center mass. And that's exactly, unfortunately, what we saw earlier this week. So I think we are asking questions if there is a military record here. We are asking questions about his background. To your point, Savannah, there's nothing that sticks out as far as a criminal record. We're able to see those generally pretty quickly, but sometimes those records could be held under seal, too. We'll want to look for that.
But, Tom, your team has been able to determine that there was a connection between this 22-year-old and the campus itself.
Yeah, apparently we have some information in that he may have attended at least one semester there, and we're going to try to get some more information on that as well, Craig. Again, though, it doesn't seem like he had any specific issue with the university. The family member talks about the fact about Charlie Kirk, this becoming more political in recent years. We did get some additional detail on the rifle. It's a Mauser Model 98 36 caliber bolt-action rifle. The question I would have is, did anybody buy this for him? Could that have been an illegal purchase?
Is this like a hunt for those of us who aren't?
Sure.
And I confess, I don't know a lot about this kind of weaponry. Is that a hunting rifle?
It is a hunting rifle. It's the exact type of rifle that you want to use for long-distance hunting, very stable to carry out a shot like that. Do want to note the governor said we do not believe that there'll be any other arrests at this time, noted that obviously the investigation is ongoing and we should see the specific charges as early next week. Of course, there could also be federal charges here. We'll just have to see what develops over the coming days.
All right. Tom Winter, it would seem as if investigators have spent the last 24, 48 hours just using a lot of video evidence to build this timeline.
Yeah, it does seem like it's all derived from the timeline at this point and from the video. Obviously, that helps them make the case. A bit of a troubling trend out of this. You know, we saw it with Luigi Mangione, according to our reporting. The recent shooting in Minneapolis at a church there involving school children. And now Tyler Robinson, according to all the reporting we've put together here, this is now another incident where somebody's been engraving things on shell casings, really speaking to that message and people following what Mangione did.
All right. We're following this breaking news. 22-year-old suspect Tyler Robinson of Utah in custody. You can find more on our streaming channel and on NBCnews.com.
Tom Winter, thank you. Morgan Chesky, thanks as well there in Utah on the ground for us. We are going to return most of you now to the Today Show. I'm Craig Melvin alongside Savannah Guthrie, and this has been an NBC News Special Report.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.